So now that Tesla and the growth stocks are declining today based off of Tesla's earnings, I just wanted to make a quick video update to show you guys my thoughts. And yesterday I made a post on X warning everybody that going into earnings, Tesla is approaching resistance. And sure enough, if it can't break resistance, then the next thing it's going to do is retest a support. And the support was way down here. And this was the 382 level that I was mentioning before, around 221. And essentially, it is breaking that right now. But that is not very worrisome, as this is a weekly candle, right? Uh, Tesla is notorious for wicking through levels just to reverse and close back above them. But even though it doesn't do that sometimes, we can go to the left of the chart. We can see right here, it closed below this 382 level, then got back above, and here it was multiple weeks below. And even right here, this 236 recently, it did go below, and then it was wicking back above. So I believe it's going to be something similar to what we're seeing down here, where there's a possibility that it could close below that level, and then just maintain a base and build higher and higher. So if we look at this market structure from the bottom here, it's actually not bearish at all still, right? It broke up, and then it was finding a new base, and then it had a huge explosion higher, right? And then it got to a resistance level, and this resistance level could not be broken, right? It just kept wicking above, but it could not close weekly candles above that level, and it could not make a higher high from this 265.13 level, right? It did wick above it, but it could not close a weekly candle above that high at all. So if it can't break a level, it's going to go retest as support. And where is support right now? Well, if we add on the SMAs right here, just that alone, we can see that it did not hold the 200 week at all. And now it's coming down maybe closer to the 50 week and the 100 week. And the 50 week sits around 210, and the 100 week, the blue line, sits around 208, 208.68 currently. So that could be a target. That could be a possibility for price to go to. But if we put on the Ishimoku here, we can see that even the conversion line is hitting right now at 219. So this could also hold as a support before it gets to that level. But if this breaks as a support, then this whole zone becomes a whole big demand zone, even all the way down to the baseline down here, which is around 204.90, maybe around 205. And I've always mentioned that 205 before. If you remember from when price was here, I was talking about this weekly candle right here, which was 205.60, right? That I wanted to see a weekly candle close above that, right? And it never did until it had this huge explosion higher. So a back test of this 205.60 would be completely normal, would be completely healthy, is nothing to freak out about. But I still believe that this 382 level is going to hold, whether it's just below it for a week or 2 or 3 or 4, just like we saw right here. It was below that 382 for a while, just as it retested the moving averages and the top of the cloud below right here. So I believe that could be a possibility before price continues higher and higher. So where will it stop? Nobody really knows, but I think maximum pain could be that 205, maybe 204 zone right there. But we'll see how this week closes first, right? Let's not get ahead of ourselves, because this conversion line could hold and it could close back above the 382 and possibly even back above the cloud, which would really make this a lot more bullish. So we'll keep an eye on this in the future. Let's go to the linear scale GAN just to take a look at that real quick. And the linear scale GAN is doing exactly what I was thinking, what I said before, right? It's breaking through that blue level again, and it's backtesting this ARK as a support. So I believe this could be all we see, right? This could just turn into a wick. This weekly candle could close back above the ARK, and it could close even back above that blue level as well. But that blue level sits around like 228, so that might be a little more difficult to close above. But at least it could close back above this ARK here and flip that basically to support. Just a successful back test of that ARK. So this is even more confluence that this is not very bearish, it's very bullish, because you can see how many times this ARK has been resistance, and now it's finally looking like it could be flipping it to support. But even if it does close a little bit below, like we saw it close above here before, but it still was bearish, right? So even if it closes a little bit below here, it still could be a bullish thing, because it's looking like it's in the process of flipping it to support. So I would not be panicking here. I think this is an opportunity for things to continue higher. It's just a perfect back test. What was needed in order to continue higher because it could not break that resistance zone. Now let's take a look at ARK. So here is ARK, right? ARKK. Is this a bearish looking chart? Not at all, right? It tried to break above this baseline, but it couldn't, right? Just lots of wicks above. It's just not ready yet. So it couldn't break above resistance, so it went down to retest support. And where was that support right now? Well, it was that conversion line right there. And it possibly could even go to the 50-week moving average, that green line there, around $45. But so far, the conversion line is support and possibly for continuation higher and higher. And this is what we are looking for a bullish kind of setup, right? It's already came down to retest the 100. It's already came down to retest that blue angle down there. And now it's just breaking out before it gets to the next level, right? This is what happens to charts all the time. Does like liquidity grabs. See, this what happened last week with ARK, right? People thought, oh, it's going to break out. I even thought it's going to go to this orange level really quick, right? But it was just a liquidity grab to get all those people like hopeful, and then it closed back below that baseline to continue a little bit lower this week, right? So even though it did that, it does not mean it's a bearish chart. It just means that it's not ready to break out higher yet because it couldn't break that resistance. That's all. So it's just a matter of time before it does break this resistance and then continues higher and higher. But this is the perfect setup that you want to see, a backtest of support before it continues higher. And let's look at Square within the ARK Innovation ETF. And we can look at this. And it's just perfectly backtesting that 50-week moving average right now. See, it couldn't hold this conversion line or anything, but now it's just backtesting a level for a possible continuation higher and higher. So this is also a good setup that you want to see for a continuation. So don't let this 5% down weekly candle fool you. It just looks like it's retesting a support before it wants to break a little bit higher. And let's take a look at SHOP. So SHOP is here right now at the bottom of the cloud, and it got rejected by the 50-week moving average up here, and that's why it really couldn't break higher. So what I'm really looking for is possibly this cloud holding, or maybe going back down to this 236 around $59 for a perfect back test of that zone to finally get higher and higher. Could it come wick through that 59 level and go to the 100 week? Yeah, it could. Or more time could pass for the 100 week to catch up to price, right? So those two scenarios could happen. But currently, the bottom of the cloud is holding that support. And if that does hold, then it could reverse and continue higher. But if it doesn't, then I think this demand zone right here is a perfect place to make a new higher low from here and to continue higher and higher. So this setup still is not very bearish. It still is what we're looking for of a retest of support. And just the last one I'm going to look at is ROKU within her ETF, and just point out that it is retesting an angle right here. It did wick through that conversion line. It tried to flip that conversion line to support, but it couldn't hold so far. But it's not looking like it's a bearish situation just because this is still making a higher low from this candle right here. And it did the same thing that Tesla's doing, right? It couldn't break a resistance up here, so it went back down to test a support. And this is like the moral of the story within the growth stocks. It's within Tesla. It just, if it can't break a resistance, it's going to go retest a support. And so far, that's all it's doing. If things degrade worse from here, then I'll let you guys know. But so far, so good. There's no need to panic. It's just doing exactly what charts have always done. So the good thing is the pain looks like it could be almost over, especially for Tesla, because we can see there's a big demand zone right here for Tesla, right? Even though it's kind of wide, right? It could be around current price all the way down to 205, but we don't really know where it's going to stop. But the point is, I'm going to start accumulating because I like how this looks. I'm going to start buying more and more because this is what you want to see in order to break up higher and higher for the future, right? So I don't think there's anything to fear. I think this is an opportunity that I've been waiting for. It's just going a little bit lower than expected, which is fine. Like, it's a gift, right? We should be happy about that because we all like, oh, I'll buy more when it dips, right? But then once it dips, it does scare people and people don't buy. And this is how you miss out on opportunities because you're like, oh, it's going lower. I'm not going to buy. It's going lower. I'm not going to buy. But if you always have that mentality, then you always miss out. So this is the zone you're looking at, right? Current price down to 205. That is perfect right there for a back test of support for a continuation higher, right? Since this 382 is not holding, but we don't know. This weekly candle could close back above it, and then that's all the pain you get, right? So if you're just waiting for the lower levels, sometimes they don't come. So sometimes you just have to just start accumulating on the way down.